Now, yes, there's the history of that film as per how it was made, the creativity, the people in it, the production, all that, of course. But it also has a history of and a life of where the actual print that I'm holding in my hand, that I'm using on my projector to project, actually came from, and the history it had, which is very interesting, which leads me to today. For 2 years, I have been amassing footage not of the newsreels where you see the battles, the wars, the winning, the losing, because to get off the point for a second, in the year of 1943, America was doing really bad in the war, from what my research has found. And there really was a very big depression going on in America due to that. Not a depression financially, but a depression emotionally, because so many were dying and it looked like we were really going to lose the war. But this is where and why I am doing this program today. This program today illustrates to all of you and really should bring back the feeling of unification that we had in this country, as per what I've compiled. This footage is none of those war scenes from newsreels or the generals or things, which is wonderful to see and look back on. But what I have compiled and amassed is footage illustrating what was going on the homeland front and the power we had as American people at that time to inspire our fighting forces to battle the Nazis and win. We were doing so much here as citizens, as Americans, banding together in that unification. Now we had our movie stars, the entertainment medium, we had songs. I even have compiled a ton, I can only have 2 though here, of propaganda cartoons. In fact, that's what we're going to begin with. A propaganda cartoon. Here's my notes. Here. Anyhow, we're going to begin with an MGM cartoon called Blitz Wolf. Now, of course, Blitz is Blitzkrieg, as per Hitler, and the wolf being Hitler, and how he goes after the 3 little pigs. But this cartoon, a lot of the libraries will not allow me to show because it is very negative on our enemies at the time. But this is reality, and this is what was happening, and this is my job to show you and remind you and let you see how it was held and captured on film. Then we have a command performance. What's command performance? Command performance was shows that were done with all the big stars of the time, hosted by Bob Hope. Who else? And these films I have were filmed, but they were really recorded, so the records would be sent to the posts overseas where our soldiers were to hear the songs of the time by the stars of the time, dedicating themselves and the songs to our soldiers, which inspired them. Next, I have another film that illustrates again how the stars of the period would actually go overseas to the bases where the soldiers were to fight the war. And that's hosted by Glenn Ford, who shows what he was going through when he enlisted in the Army. Then there's another command performances, but then I have compiled, it made me cry, all the footage that I have when I was editing it all together. It's the stars of the time singing the songs that so embodied and so inspired that era of the war. And I hope it'll make you feel as much as the love I have, I have for the country, for the, I'm not here to be Republican, Democrat, whatever. I'm not here to be political. I am here just to show you the love and strength we had in ourselves and in our country. And hopefully this is inspire it again to happen. So I hope you all enjoy the film. I am John Carpenter, but I have a very special guest. His name is Mr. Gary Commander Gary Glick. Gary is the commander of the Long Island Jewish Veterans.
No, well, New York. New York.
New York, well, say it.
Yeah. Well, New York Jewish War veterans.
Now, would you please, he has something to tell of you,
Yeah.
please.
It's funny that he was just talking about the war. This is something that I got, it's so long, but unfortunately it has to be said, but we have to. I see there's a couple guys just like me, and this is the sad part, how the veteran is forgotten. I got a call since I became the commander from a woman in New Hyde Park, and she told me it took her 2 years to find out. She was going by a gravesite, and she saw a grave. It's by a poor guy named Stanley H. Sandberg. He was born on August 16, 1925, and lived in Brooklyn. He enlisted in the United States Army on November 15, 1943, at the age of 18. And PFC was killed in action during December 17, 1944, Battle of the Bulge. And what happened was his body, he was killed in 1944, but in the grave in Wellwood, it was 1949 that he was interned there. But what happened was his family was not around anymore, and that turned into twigs. You imagine 75 years of growth. So the woman who was there happened to call me and told me something. She used to go to her mother's grave, and then it became her father's grave afterwards. But every time she'd walk over to the side there, she saw a little stone, a little 2 by nothing. And she says, started looking at it and realized who this was, and she decided to find out who the guy was. And it was amazing, this story. And I had to get this done before Veterans Day, and she just gave it to me a few weeks ago. So I went to Wellwood and spoke to a guy, not Wellwood, to Dumont de Fiora, and spoke to this guy there. And he did this, he spoke to guys at Wellwood. And the moral of the story is, it was taken care of, where they went ahead, dug down, took out the roots and everything else, which 75 years worth, and they're gonna reseed there. But just the reason why I took this on is because what she said to me, when she took a liking to him, he died on that day. The next day, she was born, the woman. Not only that, then she told me this story, and she says her mom used to always say to her, she was a big bulge in her stomach. So that became, later on for her, the Battle of the Bulge. And this is something that we guys, as veterans, are forgotten at times. Our families leave, go to another state, don't come back, nobody cares, and that's what happened. But this one woman cared, and I tell you, the stone was that high. My wife was with me that day, and Addie, and I said, I am a veteran. And what I did is something that I went above and beyond. I decided, we went back, we got all the information. I flagged the grave with a marker for the Jewish war veterans. At the same time I did this, which we never had, I took my phone, my wife couldn't see, but I told her, do this, so we edited. And what happened was, we decided, I played taps for him, that he be honored.
Beautiful.
Because I don't think anyone else would have done that but another veteran. Thank you.
That's for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank God bless you. You know, this is what I'm talking about.
God bless you.
Well, this is what I'm talking about, folks, and why I'm doing this today for all of you. Just because physically these people aren't here, what they did is still here, and we are benefiting because of that. Okay? Oh, thank you.
History, you could read it another time.
I will.
Bring it out to them.
Yes.
That's another one for World War II.
Gotcha,
It
thank
took
you.
75 years to get a reward.
But,
We gave it to him.
you know, Gary is such an inspiration for the Long Island Jewish war veterans. You know, it makes me cry because, you know, you don't see this every day.
No.
and these people are forgotten. But we can't let them be forgotten, because what we have here is still now due to their passing, due to what they gave up of their lives so we could benefit. So anyhow, I have a friend who came, one of my film fans, came all the way from Virginia, and he isn't a Virginian, but he is a native Queens boy. But Lee Sagnas here, my friend from Jamaica, Queens, George Liris, Josephine Tucker here. So everyone comes and travels to come out here and see these shows, because what I put out, you can't find anywhere else. Because all these things that I'm putting on DVD to show, which no one has projectors anymore, is because they're on film. These things existed on film that I started collecting in high school. Okay, because TV stations would later on would throw all these reels away that were taking up too much space to replace them with video. And all these films are being thrown away, they were garbage. Not to me. And I would be hunting them down and picking them up and having them in a basement, and it's packed. But these things you can't find anywhere else, and I don't feel it should just be for my eyes. That's why I put it out and make it available for all of you. So I really hope you enjoy this. I hope you get the heart and love that I got from watching all the clips of how our homeland was our power force of World War II. You can make that a little bit louder.